evening, ladies and sinners. Welcome to IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You can get at us on our Twitter pages. The Sin City Sports Show Twitter page is SinCity_IESR. You can get at me on my Twitter page, at Cale_Henderson. Little bit more of a light day. It's going to be more of an analysis type day. We do need to shout out to our Las Vegas Aces because they were off to a hot start to start the season. For that matter, continuing that hot start from last year or hot streak from last season, where they were basically best in conference. We're going to give a shout out to UNLV. Both teams finished with the best records in the Mountain West in baseball and softball, so we're going to give them some love. Not to mention the UNLV baseball team is in the tourney. You heard it. You heard it right. The World Series of Baseball, the best of 64 teams. They're the number 4 seed in the Eugene bracket, in the Eugene sector, and they will probably be taking on Oregon. Won't be an easy task, especially because it'll probably be at Oregon in those epic facilities. If you guys want to take a look at facilities, Google them on Google or go to YouTube. Google them, man. I've been on a hot streak doing that, by the way, with specific colleges and seeing the facilities. It's just crazy what's out there anymore. The design, the money, it's unreal. We're going to touch base on the Golden Knights. Golden Knights have a decision to make here. Will we have a new coach? Right? Is that coming down the pike? Will that happen sooner or later? I don't know, man. I mean, Barry Trotz is the guy, right? Sounds like they're in no hurry to hire a head coach. We'll discuss that a little bit. I don't know why. You kind of got to get after that best guy if you can, right? And Barry Trotz is that dude. We talked about it last week with Adam Knark. He knows what we're talking about when it comes to the hockey grounds. You want to get that veteran coach, and you want to sit on him for a little bit. On top of that, we're going to talk Raiders. I'm going to say it like this, guys. I am about as professional as you can get when it comes to having interchanges. And I think our guy, one of the fans of the show, one of the fans of Las Vegas Raiders, he actually big time writer, part of the Pro Football Association writers, Mario Tavar. Might need to try and get him on a show one of these days, but he is somebody I've interacted with on numerous occasions. It's always professional. It's always cordial. And I think a lot of it has to do with it's because we're Raiders. We cover the Raiders. We love the Raiders. We want to see them do the best they can. At the same token, we're objective. It's different when you have interchanges with other teams and their writers and their analysts. And sometimes it makes you wonder, how in the hell do these guys have 9,000 followers on Twitter with the things they spew? We're going to discuss that a little bit. I won't name names because I'm not here to, necessarily boo-boo on anybody and what they do for a living, because that's what they do for a living. That's how they make their money. But we're definitely going to have a talk about the AFC West coaching ranks because some slander was said online. And if you guys really want to look into it, you can definitely look on my Twitter and follow my feed, because I was basically calling a dude out. I'm like, no, doesn't seem about right. We're at the point now, and I'm going to say it like it is, guys. Broncos fans are so excited to have Russell Wilson. They're so desperate to win again. They'll just spew nonsense. So with that being said, we'll kick off the show. I'm really excited to talk about the Las Vegas Aces because they're off to a hot start, man. And it's always good in an off season where you just need something to happen to have a winning team out there ruling the Michelob Ultra Arena. Right now, the Las Vegas Aces have lost one game so far. I mean, they're on a tear. Their next game will be May 28th, this upcoming Saturday. That will be against the Chicago Sky in Chicago, Illinois. But, guys, these Aces are on an absolute roll. They just finished a 4-game stint. They went 4-0 in that 4-game stint, scoring 100 points or more in the last 2 games against the Los Angeles Sparks and the Phoenix Mercury. And the margin of victory is very encouraging considering they kind of went with a younger team this offseason. They made some moves to get younger, more athletic, and it seems to be working because right now they have 1 loss in the season. So as of right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are 7-1 to start the season. And you, other than winning all your games, you're going to have a hiccup here or there, especially in professional sports. But to start 7-1, you couldn't ask for better. In all honesty, what a great way to start the season. I hope the hot start continues this upcoming Saturday. With that being said, Tuesday, May 31st, so next Tuesday when we are on live on the show, they will be playing in Las Vegas at the Michelob Ultra Arena against the Connecticut Sun, and I hope they are continuing to keep this streak alive because as of right now they are at 5 in a row. Let's hope it's let's hope it's 6 and 7 by next Wednesday morning, June 1st. And I'm gonna say it like this, guys. Memorial Day weekend's on the way. It's a tiny little segue, but Memorial Day weekend's on the way. Be safe. Be safe out there. We know you people get crazy. We know it. Especially you ladies and sinners in the Las Vegas area. Hashtag Vegas life. We know you guys get crazy. Just be safe out there, huh? With that said, I think it's pertinent that we talk about the bill payers, the sponsors for the show. We love those sponsors. They're always about it, right? So let's talk about the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape no matter what. All semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get the second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Check out their social media. That would be Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and the Facebook, the Southern California Warriors. And then we got to talk about our platform, IE Sports Radio in itself, their social media, their Twitter, IE Sports Radio, Instagram, at IE Sports Radio, and then go to the Facebook IE Sports Radio website. For the last you heard it, the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs at all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, hosted by the man, the myth, the legend himself, the defining moment. All right? The man, the myth, the legend by himself is Larry B. Yeah, our founder, our El Jefe. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And we have 4 supporters that we want to give a shout out to for this month. They're all Patreon supporters. We all love them. Bay Area Raised, M. Los Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. And I'm going to say it like this, folks. I have no idea how that dude did it, but he's a legend. He probably deserves a shout out every month. I don't make the rules, so obviously don't hold me to that. Dude deserves a shout out almost every single month. He had the original Anonymous. You know how hard that is? In today's society, not anonymous 1-2 kitty kitty lick lick. No, we're talking about the original Anonymous. It's fantastic. All right, you deserve a shout out, my man. Those are our fans. We love them. Give them some love, folks. Get at them. Shout them out. Let's get back to Vegas sports, Vegas life, IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. Back to the LV Aces, let's talk about them a little bit more. They're off to a 7-1 start. That's fantastic. Their next game's this Saturday. We've touched base on that. It will be in Chicago, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, man, that's in Chicago. So we're looking at a 1 p.m. Right? Nope. It is 2 hours difference now. So we're looking at a 2 p.m. start on Saturday. If you folks get a chance, tune on ABC or Sports Network. You'll be able to watch that. Sportsnet, I should say. With that said, we need to look at some of the statistics, see what's keeping the games going. As of right now, the Aces are averaging 93.3 points per game, while their opponents are only averaging 80.1. That is a staggering difference. When you have that type of difference, it makes a huge. You just can't. There's no way there's a team in this league that has a better differential right now. Not when you have a start of 7-1. On top of that, the defensive rebounds are heavily in favor of the Las Vegas Aces, 29.6 to 25.9 aces to opponents ratio there. And then the yeah, I mean, overall rebounds per game, we're looking at 35 to the opponent's 32. That's three more rebounds a game. That's three more opportunities to either have possession of the basketball or score in transition or just put it right back up, especially if you're on the offensive end. That's the one thing that I think the Aces really need to improve on when you see that is offensive rebounding. You know, when a shot's taken, get in position. Let's try and get second and third shot. I mean, you only got 24 seconds on that clock to really make a difference. But the more opportunities you have, the more likely you are to leave that possession with points, and that's really important in today's basketball, especially with transition basketball the way it is. Field goal percentage as a team is 48%. That's actually really ridiculous. And the 3-point percentage. This is what we were talking about in the preseason, folks. This team went younger. It has a new GM. They have a new head coach, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it because they won the conference last year. And I mean, I'm just telling you, folks, like 41.3% at 3-point range. The style of basketball has evolved over the last 10 years, especially with the Steph Currys in the world. And ladies basketball is no different. The Lady Aces are pounding threes at 41%. No wonder they have such high scoring games. Um, free throw percentage is at 81.5%. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Turnovers, 12 turnovers a game. If you cut that in half, this is a championship winning team. I know it sounds too good to be true, and sometimes it's easier said than done, but I tell you guys this right now, less opportunities for your opponent is always good when you have a field goal percentage of 48%. Cut those turnovers in half, and this is a championship caliber team. We'll see a Las Vegas Aces team hoisting the trophy at the end of the season. So yeah, shout out to them, Lady Aces. Let's make sure we get out and support them. Again, they're in Chicago this Saturday. Next Tuesday, they will be back in Las Vegas at the Michelob Ultra Arena, and that will be at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time for that matter. Hashtag Vegas Life. With that said, let's move over to the UNLV. UNLV Fighting Rebels, man. Um, One thing that again we've touched base on this a few shows. This is episode 11 now. I'd say probably I don't know 8 out of the 11 shows when we talk about UNLV. One of the things the athletic director really made a point on is he wants to get better all over the place when it comes to sports in general in the Mountain West. Right now, I think baseball is pretty easy to recruit. It's not super hot in Vegas at this point. I mean, it's starting to heat up, but it's not bad. And baseball and softball, man, the spring in Vegas is beautiful. Like 60s, 70s every day until that sun really starts getting overhead. I think they have an advantage. The baseball facilities, in general, sports facilities at UNLV are just that much better. The football team using the Allegiant Stadium, that's got to be attractive if you're a recruit. I just really hope that all sports are turning the corner, kind of like the baseball and softball team did, because both teams won the Mountain West this year, right? I would say, okay, I shouldn't say won the Mountain West. UNLV men's baseball won the Mountain West. Um, Women's softball lost to San Diego State, who went 20-4, but UNLV had the best overall record out of any team in the conference. Not the conference record, but overall record. So, um, I I'll say it like this. I know the baseball team has a bid. I'll have to do some further research, and I apologize for that, for not knowing that. But I know the men's baseball team got a bid to the World Series, and they will be competing in the Eugene division. Let's take a second here to look up. I mean, honestly, man, when you look at the Rebels, they can put up runs. The baseball team and the baseball team and the softball team putting up runs this year. I'd say softball was a bit more defensive savvy this year, though. Yeah. Let's look it up the brackets here. See if we can see our Lady Rebels. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Just around the corner here. Actually, starting May 27th will be the first games for softball. I'm sorry. I apologize. Those first games have already been underway. San Diego State won 10-5. So the Mountain West champions, San Diego State won 10-5 against LSU in the Tempe Regional. Unfortunately, they didn't end up advancing. Arizona State advanced. At this current juncture, I'm not seeing UNLV in the tournament. It sucks because those Lady Rebels were killing it this year. Had a great record. If I stand corrected, I will happily tweet that and look like a jackass. But as of right now, men's baseball, they're the ones in it at this point. You know, UNLV men's, gotta love it. Congratulations to those teams for winning the Mountain West, or the baseball team for winning the Mountain West, getting a College World Series bid. Um, Hopefully they fare well against Oregon, and congratulations to the softball team for having the best overall record in the Mountain West in general with 41 wins. What an excellent season, by the way. On to the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to touch base on that before we go to break. The Golden Knights are looking for a new coach, as we all know. Peter DeBoer, who is a coach with a winning record, the second coach with a winning record that they've let go in 4 seasons. He was let go. I believe it was early or late, about a week and a half ago. And the Golden Knights, as of right now, are in no hurry to find a new coach. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of guys that are kind of in thought. I know that Barry Trotz is the head man that everybody wants, and I'm sure he won't last for very long. Again, I'm one to say I think Pete DeBoer shouldn't have been let go, right? But what can you do? You know, what can you do in a league that it's about winning, especially a team that's missed the playoffs for the first time in its history. Been to 2 Stanley Cup Finals. They want to stay in that hunt, and if they feel like that coach just maybe they win, but they're not quite there, what can you do? Really? So I think Barry Trotz is still a guy. Joe Quenneville is somebody I almost think he's untouchable at this point because of the sexual harassment allegations that went on um, when he was a Blackhawks coach. Mm. It makes him almost untouchable with today's society because it is what it is, man. Like if you're a bad person, you're a bad person. John Tortorella, I've kind of brought him up. I think he did an excellent job with the Columbus Blue Jackets over the years. He's a tough coach, hard-nosed coach, but it felt like the Blue Jackets were just in the. I mean, they're in one of the worst divisions with the Penguins, Penguins and the Capitals. I mean, you're going to be third best every single year with those guys, and they still put up a really good fight. John Tortorella to me is somebody they can look into. Um, One that is kind of intriguing, and I might get some crap for it because of his. If you're going to fire coaches that have a winning record, you probably don't want to go after this guy because he doesn't have a Stanley Cup to his name, but I believe he deserves one. I believe Bruce Boudreau was a victim of Bob Murray and some horrible decisions that he made. Um, Bruce Boudreau is somebody who's very, very good at teaching big boy hockey. He's very good at having big guys screen the center, transition hockey. Power play percentage is normally up for an NHL team that has him as, I don't know, that has him as the man up in charge in the bench. I think Bruce Boudreau would be an excellent, seriously, excellent candidate for the Las Vegas Knights. He knows the makeup of that division, the Pacific Division. He knows how they operate. It hasn't been that far. It hasn't been that far gone since he wasn't there. Maybe 6 years since he was let go. And when you look at the Pacific Division, yeah, there's a younger nucleus, and things have changed. But the style of hockey in that division, it's even though it's gone to more transition hockey, Boudreau would be a different take, man. He really would, especially with what he can do with bigger wings, bigger wings and bigger centers. In general, forwards, I should say. So Boudreau to me is somebody they can look into, and I'd like to see it happen. If that happens, I'd probably denounce my fandom of the Anaheim Ducks and be more of a supporter of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Not that I'm not, because I love that town. I love the sports town. I think Las Vegas, the Golden Knights are a blueprint to success, early success in the NHL. Boudreau would build off of wins. He knows how to take really good teams and make them really good. It wouldn't surprise me if they win the West every year with him there, as long as they continue to stack the roster with the way they've been doing it. I don't know. He makes sense to me. He really does. I think I think Boudreau would be a really good one there for the Vegas Golden Knights. So we've talked about Quenneville. He's just no way. There's no possible way. Because he's untouchable. He's a legendary coach. He's got 3 Stanley Cup titles. He deserves a shot. To me, at this point, John Tortorella, Bruce Boudreau, and Barry Trotz should be the 3 guys that Vegas really targets. I don't know. Tortorella's probably the youngest of the 3. The most successful is obviously Trotz with the NHL title. But Boudreau might be the winningest of the bunch, honestly. He could be the winningest of the bunch. Guy won so many games in Anaheim. Had them so competitive for years. Winning the West. I don't know, man. Boudreau would be an excellent pickup if they couldn't land one of those big 2 I listed earlier. And that would be absolutely big. That'd be huge for a Golden Knights team who's trying to keep momentum. Because they have a lot of really good players. They don't have elite players, but they have a lot of really good players. They just got hit with the injury bug last year. That's it. No coach is going to do very well, or no team is going to play very well when majority of your major starters are out. It's that simple. There's no way around it. But I'll say this. I think Bruce Boudreau is a better coach than Pete DeBoer. I'll say it. I have no problem saying it. There's a larger sample size for me to say that too. And he turned guys into superstars. Should Corey Perry have been a superstar at the time frame he was in his prime? The guy was a scoring machine. Yeah, they won a Stanley Cup with the Ducks before Boudreau took over. But if we're being honest, were they that good? No. I think Boudreau did an excellent job helping finish their development. Captain Duck Ryan Getzlaf, I guarantee you, if he would have had the chance to have Boudreau back, they weren't happy when he was fired. They loved him. They thought he was a great coach. So I don't know. Boudreau's interesting. I hope the Vegas Golden Knights go after him. We're gonna hit a break. When we come back, we're gonna touch base on the Raiders. We're gonna talk a little bit about the I wouldn't say drama, but the little back and forth I had with a Denver Broncos reporter, or whatever you want to call him. I do quotations. Again, it's his profession, so I'm not gonna sling too many darts or give names. You guys can see whatever the exchange was on my Twitter. We're going to touch base on that. We're going to talk about the best AFC West coaching staffs as of right now, some of the odds that are out there, and then we're going to talk about the weaknesses and the strengths of the Raiders and what's available out there, because I still think there's 2 or 3 guys that are probably going to be added, being that the Raiders are at a 90-man roster currently. You can go into the offseason with 92. I still think there's 2 or 3 guys that could be moved in and a couple of guys moved out just to make sure that they have the best possible veteran team. So when we get back, we'll talk about that.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Wrestling fans in the podcast world, you are in the right place to listen to the right show, the premier show in the professional wrestling podcasting world. This is Ring Rambling Radio, and you're listening to one of the co-hosts. I am Martin Sandoval, a.k.a. the SoCal Saint, along with my two co-hosts, the lovely Felicia and my boy Matt. Yes, every Saturday or every other Saturday morning, you can listen to us, the premier wrestling team, giving you the premier wrestling news, rumors, updates, event discussions, everything that has to do with professional wrestling. You're in the right place. IE Sports Radio presents Ring Rambling Radio. Don't miss it, because it's just too sweet.
What's up,
everybody. This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of thunderous spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
About that song, man, just gets me jazzed, just jacked up, get me feeling it. Yeah, you guys know what it is. Welcome to IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. I'm your host, Kel Henderson. You can get at us on our Twitter pages, man, our Twitter handle, our social media at SinCity_IESR. You can get at me on my Twitter at Kale_Henderson. Well, you guys get it. We're all about the Vegas. This is a show built for Vegas sports fans, and we have just spent our first half of the show covering the first three of the four major aspects in Vegas sports right now. The Las Vegas Aces are off to a hot start. You got UNLV finishing up their baseball and softball seasons. Again, best records in the Mountain West overall. Like, I'm not saying they both won the conference championship, the men's baseball did, but in general, best records in their conferences. Awesome. Good start. UNLV's back on the rise, and you love to see it. Vegas Golden Knights are still on the hunt for a head coach. Again, my top four, and these have been the four guys we've talked about the last couple weeks. Barry Trotz is number one. I'm not sure if it's even close. We got Barry Trotz. I would honestly put John Tortorella second. I know I talked about Joe Quenneville. Quenneville's probably untouchable at this point because of these sexual assault allegations that went on in Chicago. It wasn't him, but he was part of a bit of a group of people that just didn't want to report it when it was time to report it. So there's that. So Joe Quenneville's likely untouchable. I would put Bruce Boudreau in there. There's no reason why that guy should not be coaching in the NHL, today's NHL. He's an excellent coach. Again, I watched him for years coach hockey. I saw him win a ton of games for the Anaheim Ducks. Yes, they had some older guys leaving their prime at the time, but man, they were very competitive. I saw them go to 7 games in the Western Conference Finals twice against the Nashville Predators and the Anaheim Ducks. They always play heavy, physical hockey. Man, they screen goalies. They beat up on people. It's a lot of fun to watch. And when they need to, man, they could put up goals in a hot second with the offense he runs. His defense is usually more mobile, faster. They usually provide pretty damn good help to the goalie, which would help the current goalie in place now. So I'm in general, Bruce Boudreau to me, I'll admit it, I'm trying to sell him at this point. I don't even care. Who cares? He may be the third best. Barry Trotz might not be available. I mean, I don't think Barry Trotz will be available much longer. It sounds like Winnipeg's going after him pretty hard. He's a Canadian guy, so that the idea of going back to Canada wouldn't be a terrible idea. The Jets have some players there, so it wouldn't surprise me if he took that job. I know Philly really wants Barry Trotz, so if the Vegas Golden Knights want him, they're going to have to compete. They got the salary to do it. They got the money to do it. I promise you that much. But if they can't get Barry Trotz, John Tortorella, Bruce Boudreau would be great consolation prizes. And Claude Juliet, I don't know, not a bad spot. I wouldn't mind him. I just want to see some guys with winning pedigree. Trotz is obviously at the top. Boudreau is a beast. I think he's won a lot of games. And Tortorella, I just think he was in a really, really tough division over there um, with the Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Like always looking up at them. They made the playoffs nearly every single year. You know, I don't know. I There's so many opportunities for the Vegas Golden Knights, and honestly, I don't think they can miss because they have really good talent. As long as those guys stay healthy, they're gonna kill it. But Boudreaux, to me, man, he just knows how to use talent. If you want to talk about a player, a coach that can unlock Jack Eichel's remaining potential, look no further than what Boudreaux did with Corey Perry. You know, guy was selected late in the first round. In hockey, I guess that is still a big deal. First through third round picks, they're just viewed differently as far as prospects are concerned. But in general, Corey Perry wasn't expected to be as good of a scorer as what he was, man. Like the guy was scoring 30 goals a year at some points of his career under Boudreaux, and there's no accident to that. Great hand-eye coordination, and Boudreaux just knows how to develop really good athletes, really good talent. Eichel would thrive under him. Carlson would thrive under him. Pacioretty might have a rebirth in his career under him. Mark Stone. Just go after him, Vegas. Quit screwing around. If you're not going to go get Barry Trotz, if you're not going to open the checkbook for that guy, get after Bruce because you're going to win a lot of games. We're talking about the Raiders. And I'll say it like this, guys, and I preface this. I'm going to be as professional as I can be as always. All right? I love this platform. I love this show. I want this show to grow. I want it to be one of the biggest Vegas Raiders or Vegas sports shows in all of that Las Vegas area. So I'm going to say this the way I best feel like it needs to be said, the most professional manner. I got a little banter back and forth, and it was banter for me. That guy obviously was starting to take things personally. Also, if you guys look at my tweet history, you'll see that I stuck up for the dude because name calling is ridiculous when you're having a disagreement in sports. But some people they stoop to that. But a reporter for the Mile High Sports essentially got on Twitter. And listen, Denver is really excited right now. They have every right to be. It's a tough AFC West division. And Denver has a lot of talent. And largely they believe that they were a quarterback away from being a real contender. Now they have Russell Wilson. Listen, Russell Wilson is going to make that team better. I don't know if he's going to make them 3-4 games better, right? I don't know if he's going to make them that much better, but we'll see what happens. And I guess I'll just say his name. It's okay. Again, I have no bad blood. I just don't like it when people just spew nonsense, right? Rich Kurtzman, Mile High Sports. He's with Mile High Sports in Denver. Talks about the Broncos. He went on and he said, and I don't disagree with this. Well, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Listen, there's got to be context. But in general, he's just saying Russell Wilson's a better quarterback than Derek Carr. I don't agree with that. I don't disagree with that at this time. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's still got a live arm. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the game. Honestly, I'd put Russell Wilson at 1 when it comes to the deep ball throwing. Derek Carr is a second or third place because Derek Carr throws a pretty deep ball, especially when the guys are covered. I don't think many people thread the needle as well as Derek does. But Russell has his advantages. He's also had his advantages over the last few years because he's been throwing to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So I'm going to say it like this. Derek Carr has had almost nobody to throw to other than Darren Waller the last couple of years. Russell Wilson's had a stable. Okay? They both have had bad offensive lines the last couple of years. That's fact. You can't avoid that. Russell's getting up there in age. He's about 3-4 years older than Derek Carr. I think Russell is at the point where he's starting to diminish, right, because of his age. He has limitations. Defenses know that. As long as you keep Russell in the pocket and you force him to throw to the middle of the field, he's always had trouble doing that. Where Russell excels is throwing on the sidelines, right? Throwing beyond the numbers, beyond the hash marks. That's always been Russell's thing. Get out of the pocket, throw deep. If you're going to throw deep in the pocket, it's usually outside the numbers. He's got a cannon. I'll never take that away from him. And he's a legendary guy. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer, no doubt. But he's got his limitations. Again, it's his height. And I think he's come into a division where every team is very good at rushing on the edge and setting a pocket up. Okay? And games that we play Russ, games that we play Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, I promise you, Patrick Graham is likely going to have a spy available. He's not just going to let people run free. He's going to have a spy. Because every single one of those guys can run, especially Russ. So I will concede. I think Russell Wilson right now is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Maybe not after this season. We'll see what happens. Again, he's moving from a team that had a poor offensive line that gave up 43 sacks to a team that gave up 40-plus sacks last year in the Denver Broncos. That offensive line isn't that great either. They're developing a lot like the Raiders' offensive line is. But I don't think he got to that much better of a situation, and Russell has a tendency to hold on to the ball. What I have a problem with is Rich came out and said Nathaniel Hackett will almost certainly be a better head coach than Josh McDaniels. That is absolutely ridiculous, okay? There is no evidence pointing out or anything, no data at all saying that Nathaniel Hackett, a first-time head coach, is going to be a better head coach than Josh McDaniels, okay? Listen, Josh McDaniels did not have a good tenure in Denver. And maybe this is where most of this is coming from. Maybe they're just spurred reporters. They just don't want to see McDaniels do well. I'll say it like this. McDaniels failed. There's no doubt about that in Denver. Okay, I think he learned from his mistakes. He's highlighted that since he's been hired with the Raiders. He's been very humble about it. He hasn't been he came right out and said, I was a cocky young guy. I just didn't understand people. I knew the game. I just didn't understand people. I think Josh McDaniels did well enough. I mean, the dude won games with Kyle Orton, for God's sake, and Tim Tebow. Won a playoff game with Tim Tebow at quarterback. So we know that he can devise plans and set things to strengths. And those teams he had all control over. But was it all his fault? Was it all his fault in Denver? No. No. He didn't just give himself the power. The owner hired him and allowed him to make transactions, allowed him to draft players. You don't let a first-time head coach do that. It's nonsense. But McDaniels was so hot because he was coming off of those 3 Super Bowls with Bill Belichick that he could have done whatever he wanted, right? He had suitors every single year, even after the Denver years, guys. I'm going to tell you this right now. Even after the Denver years, he came back. They won 3 more Super Bowls with him as the offensive coordinator. He's one of the winningest offensive coordinators in NFL history. I have to believe that, all right? For 13-plus years as an offensive coordinator in New England, his offenses were top 10. Yes, they had Tom Brady, but his rushing offenses were always top 5. So he knows how to set up the run. He knows how to set up assignments to make things successful. The guy never had number 1 wide receivers. Let's be real, okay? Randy Moss was the best wide receiver they ever saw. And listen, he's one of the greatest of all time, but they had him for a couple seasons. That was a crazy year. Nutty year. But after Randy Moss, I can't, other than Wes Welker and maybe Julian Edelman, who are not bona fide number 1 wide receivers, let's be honest. They're slot guys that did very well getting the ball. They had volume. They're not number 1 guys. They never really had dudes out wide. Yet they still had top 10 offenses every single year. And it was the old Trent Dilfer way. Death by 1,000 cuts, right? Complete 1,000 passes. Move the sticks. Do what you got to do. On 3rd and long, one of the best things that New England did that no other team in the NFL does is get the ball to the backs in space. For example, Brandon Bolden, who is going to be 32 this year, but he's an excellent 3rd down back. He's excellent out of the backfield. Guy averages 10 yards of reception in his career. That's just New England's way, man. They know how to distribute the football. They will get the ball to the playmakers, and that starts with Josh McDaniels. There is nothing on Nathaniel Hackett's resume that says he's going to be a better coach than Josh McDaniels. Nothing. He had one really good year as an offensive coordinator in 2017 as the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator. Granted, he made, what's-his-face, Blake Bortles look good. But it was behind a stacked offensive line and a run game with Leonard Fournette that churned out 2,200 yards in the season, which is a ridiculous number of yards, by the way. Led the NFL. Not to mention that defense was number 2 in the NFL. Number 1 in turnovers cost. Okay, that Jacksonville defense led them to the AFC Championship game. Nathaniel Hackett just had to manage the game, right? Simple as that. So yeah, Nathaniel Hackett's probably a great football mind. He's probably a great offensive mind. But this dude's over here giving him credit for the Aaron Rodgers MVPs and the offense being as good as it was, and that's crap, man. Matt LaFleur is the architect of that offense in Green Bay. He calls the plays. It's his direction. Maybe Nathaniel Hackett does a great job of holding Aaron Rodgers' jock strap in place when he's adjusting himself on the sideline. A future MVP and future probably this year's MVP because he's won 2 in a row. Odds are he could win them again, and definitely a future Hall of Famer. Nathaniel Hackett didn't call plays in Green Bay the last few years. He got the job because Green Bay has been so damn good and so efficient on offense. Yes, he's played a part in it because he's an assistant coach and they deserve credit. But Matt LaFleur is the reason they were so damn consistent. He was like that in Tennessee when he was under, when he was under Mike Vrabel. He was like that there. Listen, Matt LaFleur is just a G, man. He knows what he's doing. Run the football, control the clock, short, easy throws, set up play action, and they snap it to Aaron Rodgers. Any offense looks good with Aaron Rodgers. I've seen offensive lines that are horrible, and Aaron Rodgers still looks really good. Okay? So the whole Nathaniel Hackett will almost certainly, those words, guys, I quote, I mean it. I bookmarked this tweet because I'm petty like that. All right? Nathaniel Hackett will almost certainly be a better head coach than McDaniels is absolute dog crap. All right? It's doo-doo. There's just no way around that. Okay? You can't say that. There's no empirical data that says that. It's just dudes like that that just say nonsense. They're like the Nick Wrights of Fox Sports of the world. They just say nonsense nonstop, and they get paid to do that. Good for them. They're hustling. They know the business. They're getting it done. I'm just saying, man, you ain't going to see me saying stuff irresponsible like that without data. Okay? Right now, Josh McDaniels has coached almost 2 decades under the greatest coach to ever grace the sidelines in the NFL. And I'm going to say it right now. You don't have to like Bill Belichick, but you have to respect him. It's like Nick Saban. They're the winningest coaches in their craft of all time. Even if Belichick didn't have 6 Super Bowl wins as a head coach, he still had 2 as an assistant coach for the Giants under Bill Parcells. Bill Belichick essentially created the dime defense, by the way. That press man dime defense with 4 or 5 corners out on the field at all times. 4 or 5 DVs out on the field playing man press at all times. He essentially invented that. They did that against San Francisco to shut down that short West Coast passing game of the San Francisco 49ers when Joe Montana and Bill Walsh were basically on their way out the door but still in their prime. Josh McDaniels literally learned under the greatest coach we've ever seen grace a sideline. And I have no problem saying that, even if he's a Patriot. He's a genius. They always change. They're chameleons. Everything changes on a week-to-week basis. I believe in that solely. So this whole thing in Nathaniel Hackett will almost certainly, and I'm saying this sarcastically in quotes, is absolute nonsense. Be careful what you read, folks. Don't bite into it. Yes, I said a few things back to him, but they were professional. It was just me saying, you don't have any data, man. You're just making a prediction. And then he's posting like essentially articles saying, hey, people back this up. Nobody backed it up. Nobody backed it up, man. This guy has nothing to go on. And frankly, I don't know how he has 9,000 followers, but good for him, man. He's a hustler. Gotta love it. Okay? I want 9,000 followers. Help me out, folks. Get me 9,000 followers. Maybe I need to be doing what he's doing. Guess what, folks? The sky is purple today. Just say nonsense. You know what I mean? And then hopefully I get followers. Who knows? Talking about the Raiders a little further. You know, this is Josh McDaniels' first year. OTAs has started. OTAs have started, so those are the off-season training programs for the NFL. They have a lot of days that they can do that. It's usually like 3-4 days a shot. Usually starts with like 7-on-7, then it goes 7v9, and then they can go to full 11-on-11. Some cases, some teams just don't do that, or they stay in shorts and a helmet. It's really a good idea for them to just start walking through and jogging plays, especially with the new schemes that are getting instilled in these new players with Josh McDaniels and Patrick Graham showing up on offense and defense. We're going to see a lot of regurgitation of a playbook and schemes and how they want to see things done. The good thing is the Raiders were basically in full attendance, which is fantastic. With the exception of injured players, all the veterans, the high-paid veterans that you wouldn't normally expect to be at voluntary OTAs, they're all there. The main pieces, and that's a great start. What that tells me is this front office, who I believe will eventually be the front office of the year, when the season's all said and done at this point, they did a great job of bringing in veteran leadership that really cares about the game and understands the importance of this season here in Las Vegas. This is a win-now team. It may not be the most talented team in the division. We don't know yet. Like I said, I like to see players play before I make erroneous statements, unlike some people, fans of the Broncos, maybe Chargers, who knows. But yeah, I think the Raiders have a really good team in place. They have a win now team. The offense, as long as it's efficient, it'll be nearly unstoppable. Seriously, studs everywhere. The offensive line is the biggest weak point, which transitions us into our weak points and our strengths. Okay, let's start with the strengths before we go into our negatives, right? The strengths, the quarterback, one of the best deep ball throwers, play action passers. He's a 9-year vet. He's learned multiple offenses. This will be his 6th head coach in 9 years. Yes, you guys heard this from me. Yes, interim head coaches count too, folks. They do. They're a new personality, and they tend to make changes in mid-season when they become head coach because I think they can do things better. All right. Rich Bisaccia may be the only underlier where he was a special teams coach and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna adhere to their expertise on the offense and defensive side." And we were talking about Gus Bradley and Olson, Greg Olson, pardon me. So those would be the guys, other than Rich Bisaccia, most times that happens. Regardless, they're different head coaches, different head guys. Derek Carr is on his 6th head coach in 9 years. Not a lot of stability. The guy still gets way too much crap, but he's a strength by far. He may be the 4th best in the division, but that's for now. We'll see what happens when one of the greatest play callers we've seen the last decade plus is managing your offense. You have Devontae Adams, the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think that's even a debate at this point. All 32 teams would take him. He's the best route runner in the NFL. He may not be the fastest, but he's got a great size. He does a great job with contesting balls, and he just knows how to make a couple moves off the line of scrimmage that get him open. You have Darren Waller, stud, athletic freak. Now he's not going to have as much attention on him because you have Devontae Adams. I think you have one of the top 3 route runners in the league, and Hunter Renfrow in the slot, who's about to get an extension. I think he's earned it. He may not see that big money this year, but he will next year. Again, he's earned it. He's a mainstay. In the slot, he's going to be dynamic, and he's perfect for what you've seen out of the Patriots over the years, right? Josh McDaniels has got to have some sort of wrinkles in place for that. So that's great. The running back room is thick, guys. It is stacked, okay? So you have two very dynamic receivers. You have one very dynamic receiver, one very, very good receiver, a dynamic tight end. His backup is I'll say he's good. I think sometimes our backup tight end will disappear. I do. I have no problem saying that. But at the same time, he's still very talented, and he still has room to grow. And the one thing that New England did for years was have 2 tight end systems that really looked good, and they prospered. There's no reason to think we can't see that. Right? There's no reason to think we can't see that. So the tight end room, definitely a plus, especially with Darren Waller at the helm. I love it. There's no reason to think he can't do very well. Seriously. So Waller, I think Hollister's going to get some reps, but not as likely as what we're going to see from, our boy Foster Moreau. Again, I think he's good. I hope he turns into that very good or upper echelon this upcoming year. And I think Josh McDaniels can unlock that. The running back room is very deep. I love the fact that you still have Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, again, Brandon Bolden, who averages 10 yards a carry. You went out, you drafted Zamir White. He's going to make a huge difference because he's going to divvy some of those carries away from those 2 more veteran savvy backs. I think you have a room of guys. Demarcus Robinson from Kansas City comes over. He could be the number 3 receiver easily. Keelan Cole, more speed than what you'd expect. Matt Collins, Tyron Johnson's the speed demon out of all of them. I don't know, guys. It's just gonna be really interesting to see what happens. This offensive skill position group just seems so dynamic, and as long as they find a way to really use the strengths of the offensive line, they shouldn't have any issues. That's the issue right now, though, is the offensive line. You have some very poorly ranked players. I think Denzel Good will come back. He's going to be much better off the injury. Andre James is still a question mark for me, and the right tackle is most definitely a question mark for me. If you don't think Alex Leatherwood can get it done, then you need to go out and get Darrell Williams immediately. Don't waste time. Just go do it. Okay? Start Denzel Good. You'll be fine. Dylan Parham, I think, is still the viable option at left guard. And then you can have James Illuminor, Denzel Good, and John Simpson really battle it out for the right guard position. But if Andre James is not the guy you want, J.C. Tretter is still available on the market. He's been an all-pro center. His only downfall is he's 31 and he had a huge salary cap number for the Browns, and they had to make room for that incumbent, that new incoming quarterback that they guarantee $250 million to. So if Andre James isn't your guy, don't waste time and go sign J.C. Tretter. This is a win-now season. If you can get both of those guys, your offensive line will be massively improved. It'll be a much better run offensive line. But there have been reports this staff really likes this offensive line, and they might just stay with them. But those are huge weaknesses to me when it comes to the offense in general, right? Is the offensive line. Massive issues there. I still think you need a speed guy, like a definite speed guy at receiver. Will Fuller's still out there. He's not going to play every snap. He stays injured. That's what I don't like about him. Otherwise, he's very dynamic when he's effective. But in this system, with the type of guys you already have in place, in Devontae Adams, in Hunter Renfrow, in Darren Waller, the running back room that's so deep that you're just going to feed nonstop, there's absolutely no reason to think that Kyle Fuller should be injured very often if you did sign him, right? OBJ is still available. He's still got speed. Hopefully he comes back from that ACL. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a professional. He trains very well. He's going to want to come to a team he thinks he can win at, and he'd get the ball here. Again, Josh McDaniels is a genius. He knows how to handle it. Defensively, I still think they need to continue to build the defensive line and the defensive back room. Okay? I'm not upset with the linebacker room. I think the linebacker room's in really good shape. I actually do. I think they're great. Free safety's fine. Tyree Gillespie needs looks at strong safety. There's no reason why he shouldn't. Okay? Let him compete at strong safety with Daron Harmon and Jonathan Abrams and see what happens. If not, you have the ability to put 5 DBs on the field at all times. Okay? But I do think the defensive tackle room needs to improve. So Larry Ogunjobi still available there. Ndamukong Suh, most definitely. Jadeveon Clowney's off the board now. He went back to the Browns. You have options there, man. Just don't crap them away. Go after those guys. If you think they can make a difference, do it. Don't waste time on this win now roster. Bring in veterans that you know that can also build those rookies you just drafted. Those young undrafted free agents that you want to flourish because they have those low cap numbers and a ton of potential. You just can't miss on those guys. So those are the 4 or 5 free agent guys I still think that could be signed with the $25 million basically going to appear on June 2nd in the books, roughly 8 days away. So I'm excited. You guys should be excited. There's going to be some changes. But if you can improve. Never hold back. If you think you can go get better than Andre James, go get J.C. Tretter because he's better. 100%. If you think Andre James is the truth, then stick with him. With that said, folks, this is another Tuesday edition of the IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You can get at us on our social media forums. But most importantly, man, I just want you folks to go out there, have a good time. The early summer, beautiful weather. Stay healthy, stay happy. And again, as always, love, peace, and hair grease.